these are all amazing people. As you know, it's my distinct honor to introduce Iris Kavanagh as our next Titan of Tech. All the people up here, including Iris, have done amazing things. I think the thing to note about Iris is just the amazing journey and the amazing amount of progress she's made in just 10 short years or so. 10 years ago, I hired her when this whole idea of co-working was brand new. No one knew what it was about and whether it could really be something that was more than just sort of a hobby or a side thing. Could we actually turn it into a business? And Iris was at the forefront of creating what is now a new industry. And we didn't know it at the time, but you were building processes and you were leading people and teaching people to be part of this new industry. And now she's this recognized global expert in co-working and is really taking that as a platform for co-working to empower women and women entrepreneurs. And it's just been so gratifying to be part of this journey with you, Iris. And so I'd like to introduce to you all Iris Kavanagh, Titan of Tech.
Thank you, Jeremy, and thank you to Matthew and Doug and to the Santa Cruz Works community for really recognizing our local people here and what we're doing in this special place that we all call home. So as Jeremy mentioned, I am leading a movement of female operators and owners of co-working spaces. I co-founded Women Who Co-Work with my partner 3 years ago. And I did so as a Santa Cruz, a co-located company between Santa Cruz and Austin, Texas, specifically because I wanted there to be one more global movement, one more global thing that came out of Santa Cruz, because I love how much our tiny little town has produced. So we provide support, we provide tools, resources, and community to the women who are running the co-working movement. When we looked at the data and we realized that 86% of employees of co-working companies across the world were female, and yet only 32% of those co-working spaces were owned by females, we knew we needed to do something about it. My partner and I both have 11 years in co-working, and we really wanted to give women access to the tools and resources and community so that they could build their own communities, which then really enhance the external communities which they're in, and we call that the Women Who Co-Work ripple effect. So, in co-working, we recently recognized about 3 years ago that we are an antidote to what is called the loneliness epidemic. I don't know how many of you know, but it is now stated that loneliness is more likely to be harmful to your health, are more harmful to your health than cigarette smoking is, actually. And we realized that we, through creating places of connection and belonging, were providing a real antidote to the loneliness epidemic and a way for people to continue to provide that antidote throughout their communities and spread that feeling of connection and belonging, because when you feel more connected, more people feel you're able to provide that sense of connection to more people. When I first came to Santa Cruz, the businesses were in shambles. The downtown was rubble, and most of the businesses existed in pavilions. That was March of 1990, so I've been here almost 30 years. Look at us now. We're amazing. Look what this town has done. Not only have we rebuilt the town, but we've created an entire new ecosystem of businesses out of here. And I'm really proud of everybody in this room and of everybody who's done that. And I've watched it for 30 years. It's been so exciting to see. And the thing that strikes me the most is the stories that I heard when I first came of the neighbors helping neighbors, people helping people during that time of the earthquake. And what that said to me was that this was a really strong community that I was coming into. What motivates me? Matthew asked me to talk about my career path and what motivates me. So what motivates me is learning and growth. What also motivates me is being in flow and in witnessing flow. I love that. What motivates me is challenging myself to be better, to do better, and to feel better all the time. And what motivates me almost more than anything in the world is connection. My first job was for my local co-op. I was part of the ROTC program, and I got to mop the floors and stock the bins and dust the shelves. And what was remarkable about this in the tiny little town of 1,000 people that I grew up in is that my family had built this building, and I had participated in building this building many years before. And that co-op is still standing today, nearly 45 years later, when there's almost not a single cooperative business owned in or alive in the US. The Tenasket Co-op is still going strong. And the reason that it's going strong is that for 45 years, people have shown up and made sure it survived. And that's community. That's the power of what community can do for you. What motivates me is community. And not just a community like the people in this room, which is an amazing community, but a community that encompasses everybody. And by everybody, I mean diversity, I mean inclusivity, I mean making sure that everybody has a seat at the table. When I think of what tech solutions can provide, I love sexy tech, don't get me wrong. I got my Apple Watch here. I'm not driving a Tesla, but you know, I love sexy tech. But when I think of what tech can do, what gets me really excited is when people are thinking about what tech can do for the people who don't actually use tech. I want to know, how can tech help the grandmother who's making tamales out of her kitchen and selling them? How can tech help her run her business better? And what can we do as a community to make sure that she feels a sense of belonging and she knows where she can go to market her tamales or to distribute them more? That's what motivates me. What motivates me is that school teacher, that underpaid school teacher in the classroom, teaching our future every day, paying for resources for her classroom out of her own stipend, and she does that every day with a big smile on her face and excitement, and she's getting those kids excited every day to grow up and solve solutions in the economy and solve solutions in our planet. And what can we do through technology to provide her the solutions she needs? That motivates me. I like to make sure that everybody's included, because when we don't make sure that everybody's included, we make mistakes in our product. How many of you remember when Apple released the Apple Health app? Well, when they did, they forgot about 50% of the population who has periods. And I mean, it was really a remarkable mistake, and yet it was only just recently that they corrected that mistake. So that's a really good example of what happens if we don't have all the stakeholders at the table. So how do we get all those stakeholders to the table? Well, as Margaret said 2 years ago up here, it's up to you to design your future. And what I would like to know is, who are you bringing along? And how are you bringing them along? And it comes down to your hiring, and it comes down to the people that you're surrounding yourself with, and it comes down to your focus groups, and it comes down to your beta testers and the people that you are testing your products on. So hire people who don't look like you, who don't sound like you, who talk differently than you, who have a different background. A little known or a little unknown secret about me is that I am a college dropout. I'm an art school dropout. I was a dancer and I got injured. And when I told that to Jeremy, when he asked me to join the team, that was okay with him. I didn't have a giant pedigree. Jeremy took a chance on me. He hired me because we had worked together. He hired me, and he gave me an opportunity to work in this town in a way that allowed me to have an impact across the world. And he did that because of the connection that we had together, and not because of what I looked like on paper. So when you're building your tech companies and you are building your tech workforce, think about, who are the people that can really make a difference in this company that I'm building and in the world. And think about the re-entry people. Think about the mom who needs a job, but there's nothing on her resume for the last 5 years. Well, why shouldn't you hire her? She's got amazing executive skills. You know, think about the undereducated or the underprivileged people. We all talk about taking risks. So I challenge you to take a risk when you are looking at those connections and looking at that hiring. And ask yourself, are you fostering openness, sustainability, collaboration, accessibility, and connection? And what kind of world are you creating for the future? And is it one where we all have a sense of belonging? So thank you.
Thank you very much.